The mission: kill the human general. The night sky above planet Ryken was dark and quiet, but deep below, inside the ruins of an old human city, war was still alive. Serica moved like a shadow between broken walls and burned steel. Her silver armor was smooth and silent. Her long black hair was tied tight. Her green alien eyes scanned the area. She was not just any warrior. She was the best assassin in the Saurian Empire. And tonight, she had one target: General Eli Stone, a human, dangerous, clever, strong. He had stopped many alien attacks. The Empire wanted him gone. Serica didn't care why. She didn't ask questions. She just followed orders. Kill the human. Return home. Mission complete. She found his location inside a half-destroyed tower. Human guards stood outside. She waited, hidden, like a cat waiting to strike. Her hands touched the blade at her side. A sharp black weapon made of alien crystal. It pulsed softly in her hand, hungry for blood. Silently, she moved forward. One by one, the guards fell. No sound, no mercy, just shadows. She climbed the stairs. Broken wires sparked on the walls. Wind howled through the open windows. The building shook as distant bombs fell outside. At the top floor, she saw him. General Eli Stone. He stood by the window, looking out. His uniform was dirty. His face had a cut on it, but his eyes were calm. Serica stepped forward. He turned. "You're not human," he said. "You're about to die," she replied coldly. They fought. Fast. Brutal. Serica struck with her blade. Eli blocked with a metal rod. Sparks flew. Dust rose. Each strike was full of power. He was strong, stronger than she expected, but not fast enough. She moved low, then high, then low again, and stabbed him in the side. His eyes widened. Her blade slid into his skin. And then, something happened. His blood touched the blade, and it began to glow. Blue, bright, alive. The same glow ran up the blade and into her hand. She gasped. Pain shot through her body. Then, warmth. Then, voices. Memories that were not hers. A boy laughing under a tree. A mother calling from a house. A dog barking. A feeling of peace. Love. Family. She dropped the blade. Eli collapsed on the floor. Serica fell to her knees. What is this?" she whispered. Her hands shook. She looked at Eli. He was bleeding badly, but he was still breathing. His eyes met hers. "Why didn't you finish me?" he asked, weakly. She didn't answer. She didn't know the answer. Her comm device beeped. "Serica, report. Is the human dead?" The voice of her commander came through. She looked at Eli, looked at the blade, looked at her glowing hand. Then, she turned off the comm. No answer. Only silence. Suddenly, the building shook again. A human drone spotted them from above. Lights flashed. Sirens started. Soldiers were coming. Serica tried to move, but her body was weak. Whatever the blood did to her, it was changing something inside. She looked at Eli again. She could leave him. Run. Hide. But something inside her heart, something new, told her not to. Instead, she reached forward and touched his hand. He flinched but didn't pull away. She said only 2 words. "Don't die." Then everything went black. A bright light flashed. Smoke filled the room, and both of them disappeared into the chaos, captured by the humans, prisoners of the enemy. The room was bright, too bright. Serica opened her eyes slowly. Her head was spinning. Her muscles felt weak. The lights above hurt her eyes, and the strange humming sound in the background made her ears twitch. She tried to sit up but couldn't move. Straps. She was tied to a bed. Not a real bed, more like a human hospital table. White walls, Clean air, cold temperature. Her heart raced. She was in a human base, captured. But why was she still alive? She blinked and turned her head. In the next bed, someone else was lying still, hooked to machines. Tubes ran into his arms. Bandages covered his side. Eli. The human. The one she was sent to kill. The one she stabbed. But also the one who changed something in her, with his blood. Memories flashed in her mind again. The boy under the tree. The mother's voice. The barking dog. She didn't know those people, but somehow she felt them. Her own memories didn't have any of that. Just war, training, coldness. She stared at Eli. He was unconscious, pale, breathing slowly, but alive. Her glowing hand, the one that touched his blood, was now covered with a glove. A soft light still flickered underneath. "What did you do to me?" she whispered. A door opened. 2 human soldiers entered, followed by a man in a white coat. He looked like a doctor, but not just any doctor. Older, serious, but not angry. He walked up to Sarika's bed. "You're awake," he said quietly. "That's good." Sarika didn't reply. "I'm Dr. Lauren," he continued. "You're safe here, for now." She stared at him with cold eyes. "I'm not your patient," she said. "I'm your enemy." He gave a small smile. "Maybe you were, but now you're something else." He pulled out a small scanner and waved it over her arm. "You and General Stone are bonded," he said. "Bonded?" she asked. "What does that mean?" Dr. Lauren looked at the glowing monitor. Strange energy pulses showed on it. "It means, when your blade touched his blood, something ancient happened. Something we don't fully understand yet." Sarika stayed quiet. She didn't like this. He continued, "We've seen this once before, years ago. A bond between species. A link that connects minds, even hearts." "I don't have a heart," she said sharply. He just smiled again. "Then why didn't you kill him?" Sarika looked away. She didn't have an answer. Later that night, she was alone again. She tried to break the straps, but her strength hadn't returned yet. The door opened again. This time, it wasn't the doctor. It was Eli, walking slowly, still weak, but awake. He stood near her bed. "Hey," he said. She turned her head, surprised. "You should be dead," she said quietly. He gave a tired smile. "Yeah, that makes 2 of us." There was silence. Then he said, "You stabbed me. Why did you stop?" She looked at him. "I don't know," she replied. Another silence. He walked closer, sat on a chair next to her. "I saw things," he said, "when your blade cut me. I saw flashes, like memories, but they weren't mine." Sarika blinked. "You saw them too." He nodded. A tall glass tower, the golden planet, a woman crying in a lab. Her eyes widened. "Those were real, from my side." "But I saw them," he said, "in my mind, like I was there." They looked at each other, 2 soldiers from opposite worlds, now bound by something deeper than orders. "You saved me," he said. She shook her head. "No, I think you saved me." The next morning, alarms rang across the base. Human soldiers ran through the halls. Lights flashed red. Dr. Lauren rushed into the room. "We have to move you. Now." "Why?" Eli asked, standing up. The doctor looked serious. "The Jorian Empire knows she's here. They're coming, and they're not here to talk." Sarika felt cold inside. Her people had found her. They would kill her for failure. But worse, they would kill Eli too. She looked at him. "We need to escape," she said. "You're in no shape to run," Dr. Lauren warned. Sarika looked at her glowing hand. "I don't think I have a choice." That night, while chaos spread across the base, Sarika and Eli escaped through the maintenance tunnels. The sound of explosions shook the walls above them. The bond between them helped them sense danger, feel each other's fear, even without speaking. They'd reached the edge of the forest that surrounded the base, but a shadow moved behind them. 3 alien drones dropped from the sky. Weapons aimed. Red lasers targeted Serica's chest. A voice came from the largest drone. "Serica, you have betrayed your blood. Kill the human, or die with him." She stood frozen. Eli looked at her. "You have to run," he said. But she didn't move. The drone charged its weapon. Then something strange happened. Serica stepped in front of Eli, shielding him. The lasers locked on her chest. But she didn't move. "Not this time," she said, and her glowing hand lit up brighter than ever. A pulse of energy exploded from her skin, knocking the drones back into the trees. Eli stared at her. "What was that?" he asked. She looked at him. "I don't know," she said. "But I think I'm changing. Escape together or die alone." The forest was dark and full of smoke. Fires burned behind them. The human base was gone, bombed by the Jorian attack ships. Serica and Eli stood near the edge of a cliff, breathing hard. Both were dirty, bruised, and bleeding. The sky above was red with fire. Drones buzzed in the distance, searching. They had escaped, but they were far from safe. "We can't stay here," Serica said. Eli nodded. "Where do we go?" She looked around. "Anywhere the Empire won't look. We need to hide." Far in the valley below, an old jungle stretched for miles, a place with no cities, no cameras, no control. "Down there," she pointed. Eli followed her lead. Every step hurt. His side was still weak from the stab. But he trusted her now, even though she was once his enemy. They reached a broken path between tall trees. The jungle smelled like wet earth. Strange sounds echoed around them. Alien animals, whispers in the leaves. "How far are we from human space?" he asked. "Very far," she answered. "They'll think we're dead." "Good." They walked in silence. Every hour felt heavier. Serica's body was changing. The blood bond was spreading. Her alien tech was shutting down. Her armor no longer responded. Even her strength felt different. But strangely, her emotions felt stronger. She was feeling things she never felt before. Fear, hope, warmth when she looked at Eli, and something else, something dangerous, something like love. That night, they found a small cave near a waterfall, safe for now. Eli built a fire. Serica sat by the flames, staring at her glowing hand. The light inside it was softer now, not dangerous, but alive. "Do you feel it too?" she asked. Eli looked at her. The bond. She nodded. "Yeah," he said. "Sometimes I hear your voice in my head, even when you're not speaking." She smiled, just a little. "That's not normal," she said. He laughed quietly. "None of this is." They sat in silence. The stars above twinkled through the trees. "I was trained to kill," Serica said, "since I was a child. No feelings, no fear, just orders." Eli listened. "I never saw Earth," she continued, "but I've seen it now, in your memories." "My memories?" he asked. She nodded. "The tree, the blue sky, the laughing boy. That was you, right?" He smiled sadly. "Yeah, that was me. Before the war." She looked down. "Why did your blood do this to me?" Eli didn't have an answer. He reached over, touched her hand. For a moment, they just sat there, holding hands, listening to the waterfall. 2 soldiers, 2 enemies. Now something more. Something different. Something new. But peace didn't last long. In the early morning, a low hum passed through the ground. Serica's eyes snapped open. "They found us," she whispered. Eli grabbed his pack. They ran. But this time, the hunters weren't just drones. It was her brother, Commander Varric. He was taller than Serica. His armor was red and black. His face was cold, his eyes full of hate. He stood between them and the exit of the jungle. "Serica," he said in a deep voice, "you've brought shame to our blood." She stepped forward. "Let us go. You bonded with a human. Do you even know what that means?" "I didn't choose it," she said. "But now you protect him." He shouted, "You would betray the Empire for this weak creature." Eli stood up beside her. "I'm not weak." Varric laughed. "You stabbed him. He should be dead. Yet here he stands. You are cursed now." Serica's hand began to glow again. Varric saw it. His face changed. A mix of fear and confusion. "The bond is complete," he whispered. "You really did it." "I didn't mean to," she said. "But now it's real," Eli added. Varric pointed his blade at them. "The Empress has sent an order," he said. "Kill the human. Cut the bond. Return home. That is your only chance." Serica looked at Eli. He didn't flinch. She turned back to her brother. "I'm not going back," she said. Varric's eyes burned. "Then you will die with him." He charged. The battle was fast. Serica blocked his first strike. Eli rolled to the side. Varric was powerful. His blade sparked with red energy. Each strike could kill. Serica fought back, but her own blade was weaker now. The bond had changed it. It no longer wanted to kill. Eli grabbed a broken spear and joined the fight. Together, they fought. Side by side. Varric shouted in rage. "She was one of us. You've turned her into a pet." Eli blocked a strike. "She's not a pet. She's a person. And she chose this." Serica screamed and pushed Varric back with a glowing blast from her palm. Varric fell to the ground, coughing. Serica stood over him. "Go home," she said. "Tell the Empress. I'm not hers anymore." Varric stared at her, then at Eli. Then he vanished in a flash of red light. Later, Serica and Eli sat back by the fire. She looked tired, but free. "You saved me again," Eli said. "No," she replied. "We saved each other." A soft wind passed through the trees. For the first time in her life, Serica smiled fully. "Thank you," she whispered. Eli looked at her glowing hand. "What now?" She looked up at the stars. "We keep running until we find somewhere we belong." "Together?" he asked. She didn't hesitate. "Yes, together." The bond deepens. The jungle air was heavy and warm. Days had passed since the fight with Commander Varric. Serica and Eli were still on the run, but something had changed between them. They no longer walked like soldiers. They walked like people who trusted each other, maybe even cared. Each night they camped under the stars. The bond between them grew stronger, and with each new sunrise, Serica felt less like a warrior and more like someone she didn't fully recognize. And yet, someone she liked. One evening, they found a quiet place beside a small lake. The water was still, a rare moment of peace. Serica dipped her fingers into the cool surface. "I never knew water could feel soft," she said quietly. Eli smiled. "You never swam before." She shook her head. "Jorian soldiers don't swim. We train. We kill. We win or die." He stepped closer. "You don't have to live like that anymore." She looked at him, unsure. "Then how do I live?" He didn't answer with words. He walked into the lake and splashed water at her. Her eyes widened. "That's an attack," she said with mock anger. "Then defend yourself," he laughed. She stood frozen for a second, then ran in and splashed back. They laughed like children. She hadn't laughed in years. Maybe never. That night, by the fire, Serica sat quietly. Something felt strange inside her head. Not pain, not sickness, but memories. Not from Eli this time. From herself. She saw a cold lab. A baby in a glass chamber. voices speaking in human language. She's not one of them. She's one of us. No one can know. The Empire will kill her. A woman cried in the background. Serica gasped and grabbed her head. Eli rushed to her side. What's wrong? I saw something. From before. Before what? Before I became Serica. She looked into his eyes. I think I was human. Eli froze. What do you mean? I saw a lab. A baby. Someone said I wasn't Jorian. They said I was one of you. Eli sat beside her. You think you were taken? She nodded slowly. All this time, I thought I was born to fight. But maybe I was stolen to fight. The fire cracked softly. The jungle seemed quieter, like the trees were listening. Eli placed a hand on hers. Then maybe that's why the bond happened, he said. Maybe your body remembered who you really are. Tears welled up in her eyes, but they didn't fall. Jorian warriors didn't cry. But maybe humans did. And maybe she had the right to cry. Later, as they lay on the ground, looking up at the stars, Eli spoke softly. You know, there's a legend on Earth, he said, that the stars remember the truth. That even if you forget who you are, the stars don't. Serica smiled faintly. Jorian soldiers call stars the silent watchers. They say stars don't care. Maybe that's why we need to care more, he whispered. They were silent again. Their hands touched. Their hearts beat in quiet rhythm. And then, Serica heard his voice in her mind. I'm here. I won't leave you. Her eyes widened. She hadn't heard thoughts that clearly before. She looked at him. You said something. In your mind. Eli blinked. I did. Yes. I heard it. He closed his eyes. Thought hard. Do you hear this? She gasped. Yes. I hear you. Every word. He smiled. Then I'll never need to speak again. She chuckled. Don't get lazy. They both laughed under the stars. But peace never stayed long. That same night, a dream pulled Serica deep into sleep. Not her dream. A memory. She was inside a glass tube. Floating. Wires in her arms. A human man was shouting at someone. You can't send her there. She's a child. She's our only hope. Her DNA is stable. Suddenly, the dream shifted. The Jorian Empress stood over the same child. She will forget the earth. She will bleed for us now. Serica woke up screaming. Eli held her. It's okay. I've got you. She shook in his arms. They erased me, she whispered. They took everything. Even my name. He held her tighter. Then we'll find it. Together. The next day, they reached the edge of a canyon. On the other side was an old satellite dish, half buried under vines and dirt. Eli stared. That's a human signal post. We can send a message, Serica said. But to who? She looked at him. To someone who can tell me who I was. Before. They climbed down carefully. Inside the station, dust covered the walls. Lights flickered. Screens blinked slowly. Eli turned on the terminal. Serica typed. Coordinates, security codes, hidden memory drives. Finally, a name appeared on the screen. Dr. Amelia Strand. Status. Missing. Presumed dead. Last known location. Earth, Zone 12. Serica's hands trembled. That's the woman from my dream, she said. Your mother? Eli asked gently. She nodded. Maybe. But how do we get to Earth? He asked. She smiled. The same way we got here, together. Suddenly, alarms blared across the satellite room. Red lights. A voice echoed from the speakers. Jorian patrol detected. Prepare for engagement. Serica grabbed her blade. Eli loaded his old rifle. She looked at him. Are you ready? Always. And this time, they didn't run. They stood side by side. Not human and alien, but something new. Something powerful. Something bonded by blood, by memory, and maybe by love. The hunt and the truth. The wind howled across the mountain pass. Serica and Eli ran through snow and stone, their clothes torn, their skin bruised. Behind them, red lights blinked through the fog. Jorian scout ships, searching, scanning, closing in. They had escaped the jungle. But the hunt had never stopped. Not since they learned the name Dr. Amelia Strand. Not since Serica saw her mother's face in a dream she wasn't supposed to remember. Now, the cold stung her fingers. Her blood bond pulsed in her chest, but her heart burned stronger than ever. She needed answers. She needed truth. And to find that truth, she would have to survive this night. Hours later, they found shelter inside a hidden mountain cave. Eli lit a fire. Serica sat down, exhausted. Her hand trembled as she removed her glove. The glow in her skin was dimmer now, fading. "What's happening to me?" she whispered. Eli moved closer. "You're changing, becoming more human." She looked at him. "Is that good?" He nodded. "It's real." Her eyes softened. "Then why do I feel like I'm dying?" He took her hand. "Because change always feels that way. At first." That night, the fire cast long shadows on the cave walls. Serica sat alone, watching the flames, thinking. Her memories were returning in pieces. A hallway with white walls. A red teddy bear in her arms. A woman, crying and holding her. Then silence, darkness. Then a Jorian face staring down, saying, "You were never human. You are one of us." She had believed that lie all her life. Now it was breaking apart. Suddenly, the cave walls flashed red. A portal opened behind her. She jumped to her feet, blade drawn. From the glowing light stepped a figure she knew too well. Commander Varric, her brother. Again. His armor was cracked. His eyes darker. He didn't come to fight this time. He came to speak. Serica raised her blade. "Why are you here?" He didn't lift his weapon. "I came alone," he said, "to tell you the truth." She hesitated. "I don't trust you." "You should," he said, "because I'm the only one left who knows where you came from." Eli appeared behind her, weapon ready. Varric raised a hand. "Please, just listen. One moment." Serica's hand trembled. "Talk." Varric stepped forward. His voice was calm, but full of pain. "You were not born Jorian. That part is true. You were taken." "By who?" she asked. "By the Empress herself," he said. "She found you during the Earth peace talks. You were a child, barely 2 years old. Your mother, Amelia Strand, was working with us, sharing tech, trying to stop the war." Serica's heart pounded. She trusted the Empress, Varric continued. But the Empress didn't trust her. She saw you, saw the perfect DNA match. Strong, adaptive, a clean slate. "She took me," Serica whispered. Varric nodded. "They wiped your memory. They raised you in the Empire, trained you to kill the people you once belonged to." Eli lowered his weapon. Serica stared at the fire. Her entire world spun. "I had a family," she whispered. "You still do," Varric said. "Your mother. She's alive." Serica turned sharply. "That's not possible. The files said she was dead." "The Empire lied," Varric replied. "They kept her alive as leverage. In a hidden research facility. On planet Virex." She looked at Eli. He saw the tears in her eyes. And the fury. "Then we go there," Eli said. Varric shook his head. "You won't make it alone." Serica raised her chin. "We don't need your help." "You do," he said quietly, "because the Empress has already sent someone worse than me." "Who?" Varric's voice dropped low. "The Collector." Eli frowned. "Who's that?" Serica's face turned pale. "The one who finds lost things," she said, "and erases them." Varric nodded. "Once he's sent, no one survives." The next morning, Serica stood on a cliff, looking at the rising sun. Eli joined her. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "No, but I will be." He smiled gently. "What now?" "We go to Varix. We find my mother. We end this." "And Varric," she sighed. "He'll cover our tracks. For now." Eli placed a hand on her shoulder. "You don't have to do this alone." She turned to him. "I know. That's the only reason I'm still alive." They looked out across the mountains. The wind was strong, but their bond was stronger. 3 days later, they reached the outer edge of an old human transport facility, abandoned, rusted, covered in vines. Inside, they found a broken spacecraft, barely working. But Eli, being an ex-general and engineer, got it running. "We'll only get one jump before the core dies," he warned. "One is enough," Serica replied. He looked at her. "Ready?" She smiled. "To find out who I really am." She nodded. "Always." The ship roared to life and lifted into the sky. Far away, on a cold planet of steel and shadows, a tall figure watched them from a black screen. His face was hidden behind a mask of glass. A dozen tubes ran into his back. Machines whispered in his ears. "The Collector." He stared at the screen, showing Serica's face. Then he spoke in a voice like wind and bone. "Begin the extraction. The girl must not reach her mother." The last stand. The stars outside the ship stretched like light through water. Eli sat at the controls, guiding their stolen vessel through the last few jumps. Serica stood behind him, silent. Her glowing hand now pulsed gently, not with power, but with memory. Each second that passed brought her closer to something she never had. A past. And maybe a mother. They dropped out of hyperspace with a loud bang. Before them floated a planet of silver clouds and broken rings. Planet Virix. Once a research world. Now, a graveyard of forgotten science. The Empire had erased its name from the maps. Only ghosts lived here now. And secrets. "Are you sure she's here?" Eli asked. Serica stared at the planet. "I don't feel her, but I don't feel alone." That was enough. They landed the ship on a frozen landing pad. Old machines lay broken under snow. A half-buried door blinked green. "Still has power," Eli said. "Somebody's been keeping it alive." They stepped inside. The hallway was long and cold. Lights flickered. Their boots echoed. Serica's hand glowed brighter with each step. "This way," she whispered. They turned a corner. Found a room with cracked glass walls and a single glowing chamber in the center. Inside was a woman, suspended in liquid, wires in her arms, tubes in her skin. Her long gray hair floated like smoke, and her face. Serica dropped to her knees. It was the woman from her dreams. The woman who held the red teddy bear. Her mother. Eli moved to the control panel. "She's alive. In stasis. I can bring her out, but slowly." Serica stood. Her voice shook. "Do it." Eli pressed a button. Liquid drained. Lights blinked. The chamber opened with a hiss. The woman collapsed into Serica's arms. Wet, weak, barely breathing, but alive. She opened her eyes and smiled. "Saw, Sarah," she whispered. Serica froze. "What did you call me?" The woman reached up with trembling fingers. "Sarah, your name, before they took you." Tears filled Serica's eyes. She had a name. A real one. "Mom," she whispered. The woman nodded. Eli turned away, giving them space. But then, boom. The building shook. Lights flickered. Alarms blared. A voice echoed from the walls. "You were warned." Serica's blood ran cold. Eli looked at her. The Collector. Outside, black ships dropped into the snow. Dark figures marched in formation. In the center stood the Collector, tall, thin, and cold as death. His mask glowed with soft green light. "Bring me the girl," he ordered. Inside the lab, Serica helped her mother to a chair. "I'll protect you," she whispered. Her mother held her hand. "You don't have to be who they made you." "I know it," Serica said softly. "I'm not Serica anymore. I'm Sarah." Eli opened a panel in the floor. "Old tunnels. We can escape." But Serica shook her head. "No. They'll kill us," Eli warned. "Then I fight," she said. Her hand burst into full light. Blue, pure, alive. Eli stared at her. "You're sure?" She turned to him. "I spent my whole life killing for someone else's war. Now I fight for myself." He smiled. "Then I'm with you." Minutes later, the collector entered the lab, but the room was empty. Except for one thing. The glowing blade, standing upright in the floor. It pulsed once, then exploded with light. The shockwave knocked his soldiers back. From the smoke stepped Sarah and Eli, shoulder to shoulder. The collector raised his hand, but Sarah moved faster. She slammed her palm into the ground. Blue light exploded upward. Machines shut down. Weapons died. The collector staggered back. "You've unlocked it," he said. Sarah narrowed her eyes. "Unlocked me." The final battle began. Eli used old lab guns to hold off drones. Sarah fought with glowing energy from her hands. And the collector? He was stronger than expected. He moved like a shadow, striking, vanishing, reappearing. His voice echoed everywhere. "You were a tool," he whispered. "You were mine." "Not anymore," she shouted. They clashed. Energy against energy. Power against pain. Her blade sliced through his mask, revealing his face. But it wasn't a face. It was part human, part machine. "You were the first," he hissed. "I was the experiment that failed. But you were perfect." "I'm not perfect," she said, voice shaking. "I'm free." And with one final cry, she drove her blade into his chest. Blue light filled the room. The collector screamed. And then, silence. He was gone. Outside, the ships powered down. The soldiers dropped their weapons. And the sky began to clear. Later that night, Sarah, now truly Sarah, sat with her mother and Eli on the steps of the old lab. The stars were brighter than ever. Her mother rested quietly. Eli looked at Sarah. "You okay?" She nodded. "I'm more than okay." He took her hand. "You changed everything." She smiled. "I think I was always meant to." He leaned in close, and for the first time, they kissed. The blade, the blood, the bond. Peace. For the first time in her life, Sarah, once known as Serica, stood under a sky that wasn't filled with war. No explosions, no blood, only stars, only wind, and Eli by her side. They sat together on the broken stairs of the Virex lab. Behind them, her mother, Dr. Amelia Strand, slept under careful care, slowly healing after decades of captivity. Sarah looked down at her hand. The glow was no longer wild or painful. It pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. Warm. Alive. It wasn't just power anymore. It was connection. A small drone hovered nearby. Eli tapped into its controls, boosting the signal. "You sure you want to send this?" he asked. Sarah nodded. "The truth has to come out." He uploaded the message. A transmission. Simple, clear, undeniable. Video of her face. Her real name. Her stolen childhood. The war crimes of the Shorian Empire. The identity of the collector. And the words. "I am Sarah Strand. I was taken. But I remember now. I forgive nothing. And I fight for peace." Eli hit send. The message shot across space like a beam of light, toward human command. Alien colonies, resistance cells, and even high command councils of the Empire itself. The truth was out. The war would never be the same. 2 weeks passed. In that time, something strange happened. Alien soldiers stopped attacking. Human ships held fire, and everywhere across the stars, people began to whisper a new name: the blade-bonded girl. They spoke of a warrior with glowing hands, of a stolen child turned hero, of a human and alien, bound by blood, and something even deeper. Some called it love, some called it fate, but everyone called it hope. Sarah stood on the top of the old lab's tower one night, watching the stars. Eli came up behind her, wrapping a warm coat around her shoulders. "How's your mom?" he asked. "Stronger every day," Sarah said softly. "She told me about the day I was taken. She tried to stop them. They lied. Said I died in an accident." Eli stayed quiet. Sarah continued. She blamed herself. But it wasn't her fault. It was the Empire. And I believed their lies for too long. Eli stepped in front of her. And now, she looked at him, eyes clear, strong. "Now I believe in something else. In truth, in peace, in us." They kissed again. Not like a goodbye, but like a beginning. Later that week, a ship landed on Virex. But this time, not to fight, to talk. Out stepped a figure in gray robes. No weapons, no guards. An emissary of the Jorian Empire. He bowed deeply. "Sarah Strand, the Empress requests a meeting." In person. Sarah narrowed her eyes. "Why?" The emissary chose his words carefully. "The Empire cannot erase what the galaxy has seen. Your message has spread. There are protests on 3 moons, soldiers laying down arms. The Empress offers a proposal." "What kind?" Eli asked. "A ritual, a peace bonding," the emissary said. "A public one. Ancient law, to honor the old ways and unite bloodlines." Sarah frowned. "You mean a political marriage? To the human," the emissary nodded. Sarah blinked. Eli nearly choked. "Wait, what?" The emissary looked at Sarah. "Your blood and his are already joined. A bond not seen in generations. If you both agree, it could end the war. Forever." Sarah turned to Eli. She didn't laugh, didn't cry, just looked into his eyes and smiled. 1 month later, across every screen in every system, a broadcast went live. In the heart of the galactic dome, under a sky of holographic stars, stood Sarah in a silver cloak and Eli in formal human armor. They held hands. The Empress sat high above, but no longer proud. Now silent, now watching. The emissary spoke. "By blood, by blade, and by bond, let this be the last union of war. Let it begin the first breath of peace." Sarah turned to Eli. "You saved me," she whispered. "No," he replied. "You saved all of us." Their hands glowed, blue and gold. Their hearts beat as one. And they kissed, before the galaxy. Years passed, and from their bond, peace grew. Not perfect peace, but real. Jorian and human children learned in the same schools. Old battlefields turned into gardens. Even the stars seemed calmer. But the most surprising story came not from war, but from family. In a quiet field on Earth, under the tree from Eli's memories, sat a small child. Her skin was pale like her father's, but her eyes glowed green like her mother's. She held a red teddy bear. Sarah and Eli sat beside her, smiling. "Why do the stars follow us?" the girl asked. Sarah picked her up and whispered, "Because once upon a time, they watched a girl with a blade, who chose love instead of war.